Hi everyone, I'm Trinity Williams and I'm going to be presenting my FMP to you, so like my final evaluation of the whole project, let's say. So I'll give you a short introduction of like what my FMP is about. I hope you can hear me. But so my FMP, the concept is basically about mental health, and like my concept is I'm going to produce like a 5-minute edit to try and portray how certain things can trigger and take a toll on your mental health. The cause could be like heavy workload, school, social media, friends and family. I would explain these things like and how they can contribute to your health in a negative way. And I would like share my past experience through someone else. I'll be portraying it through somebody else. But like I would mainly like you would see the triggering points of how like different people's triggers are different, and I just want to like spread awareness to make sure like everyone knows that they're not alone, and it's just like to make people understand. They may not even have to relate, but I just want people to understand like what people go through like internally, because they may not show it, but that's how they're feeling inside. So that's like a little introduction of what my FMP is about and what I've spent like the last, I think like 4 months on it. No, 3 months, 4 months, which is a lot of time. Okay, so now we're going to move on to my research report, which is like, okay, I'm going to start my contextual research. So, here's like my introduction of what I spoke about before, like the concept and everything. Oh, don't know what's that. But, okay, here is the contextual research. So, I'll give you like a brief understanding of what I did. So I just speak about like what mental health is and like what it refers to. So I'll read a bit out for you. So mental health refers to cognitive, behavioural and emotional well-being. It is all about how people think, feel and behave. And I just talk about like the triggers, like internal triggers, external triggers, and like the effects on it, or how it can like affect your everyday life. Then I move on to the history of mental health. So as you can see here, the Mental Health Act was established in 1959. I then move on to speak about like how they put like people who suffer with mental health in asylums because they were treated as differently, and they were like mentally crazy and just like not normal. So they were treated differently and put into asylums because they weren't normal, and people thought if you had like some sort of mental health problem, you should be locked away, which I think is really unfair and just like not right. I know this was like in the Victorian time. Here you can see the picture of like an institution, like an asylum, and like mental health today is completely different. There's loads of ways of like coping because everyone goes through it, and people, you don't get treated differently. And there's so many like ways to help and like aid your mental health into being more positive than negative. Then here I researched like the zeitgeist of mental health. So I defined the zeitgeist, and then I basically like the trends and the statistics of mental health. So here you can see like, oh, so here you can see like there's like different pictures. So I'll go through them now. I'll give you a bit of like facts and everything. So 1 in 10 children aged like 5 to 16 have a diagnosable condition. 1 in 2 mental health problems are established by the age of 14. 3 in 4 mental health problems are established by the age of 24. So these statistics show like how you're not alone, and most people suffer even if they don't share it. Then here I just like move on to like, this is like the majority of the UK adults have experienced mental health issues, like the highest percentage being 38, which is anxiety, which is the most common like to occur. And like how anxiety can be shown in many different ways, in many different forms. You then go on to stress, the second biggest highest in the UK. Here are like the demographics of like mental health in different like the populations. And here you can see the trends and statistics of like age and the sex, and like like if men or like adults or women, like what age gap, what age gap, what like ages like mental health occurs more. Like approximately 1 in 4 people in the UK will experience mental health problem each year. So then I move on to my similar product, which is like a similar like film, which links to like your FMP, which is similar to like your concept. So I've researched into the film Inside, which is it's a Netflix program called Inside, and Bo Burnham, like he's an American musical comedian who specially written, directed, filmed, and edited his film. He did it during COVID time, and I love like visually his shots and everything. And he speaks about like panic attacks, his health issues, anxiety, and depression. All the key themes which he talks about, I will be portraying in my short film, and hopefully you will have seen that it's shown when you watch it. Oh, um, another similar product is The Social Dilemma, which is a documentary on Netflix. This is like an open conversation which talks about how social media takes a massive toll on your mental health. However, this has actually led to more negative emotions and demonstrates like our mental well-being and how like social media just like bad negative ways it really influences you. Here you can see how I've got like different minds and like colours. So this is like how different colours, it kind of links colour psychology, which I'll talk about in a minute, but it just shows you like the different colours and how like the key themes of like mental health, anxiety, depression, stress is like portrayed through colours in a mind. I thought this looked really cool visually. So the things I mentioned above are like the critical perspectives, like my key themes, which are depression, stress, like anxiety. And speaking of these things, I also googled like ways to prevent panic attacks. So doing breathing exercises every day will help to prevent panic attacks and it relieves stress. Like regular activity, exercise can also like aid you not having them, which also helped me was using an app called Headspace, which basically it's a mindfulness app, and it's quite interactive, easy to use, and you just go through different like breathing exercises, and it helps you like calm down. It basically helps you calm down your breathing, and it relieves tension as you're kind of challenging your anxious thoughts in a way. I find this app really cool because you can do meditation, and it just like basically makes the mind feel more mindful, and you can achieve different goals through this, and it benefits your anxiety and stress, and it even helps with your sleep when you're sleep deprived. It's also like really creativity, like it enhances your creativity and it strengthens like relationships with others. You can also meditate every day, which is really helpful as it like relieves stress and how you're feeling. I also googled like because my FMP is called the unsettling. So obviously the unsettling is an adjective, and it has many connotations to different things. But like to me, it means that someone is on edge. They feel uncontrolled. They feel not in control. They're not fully themselves. Um, as something is constantly on their mind. But the actual definition of unsettling is the causing anxiety or unease, and it's quite disturbing. Um, Here's the definition. I also looked at like photographers and artists that inspire your idea visually. So for me, I thought like Pablo Picasso was really interesting as like he went for a blue period, and that's obviously blue has different connotations and with deeper meanings of it. Like it means like cold. It can also mean like calm, sensitive, like depressed. Like it just has so many connotations. So he went. God, my voice. He went through. If you don't know who Pablo Picasso is, but I'm sure you do, he's a Spanish painter, sculptor, and printmaker. And he also went through like a blue period in 1903, and his work reflected of his experiences when he lived in poverty and stuff. And yeah, I find his work really interesting. Like, I don't know, it just like shouts at me visually. Um, Here is like a script example, but I'll show you my script in a minute because it's slightly different. Or should I show you now? I'll do it later. But and in the blue, my teacher told us to like do a mini evaluation of each part of the research report. So here we then did the context part, but I just go into detail like a little like a mini self assessment, like evaluation of my idea. Here is the audience research. So like as qualitative research, we did like focus groups and lessons, and we pitched our ideas to our classmates. I received a ton of feedback on my idea, which was super helpful. We then made a survey, but the link is here. Just to like, just to like, basically, we just made a survey. As part of our audience research, like we conducted questions for our survey, like questionnaire. This is because we wanted to receive like a variety of feedback and opinions, which will help and evaluate and improve our idea. I included my concept and my synopsis. I wanted to like see if it was clear to people, if they understood it. So I have loads of responses to my FMP idea, and everyone clicked that my concept was clear. They clicked yes. Therefore, like I am really happy if people understand my concept. Someone mentioned it was clear, but like how would you overcome it by the end? I said this is extremely helpful as I'll talk about like ways to cope and also like mechanisms, like what's your anchor in a way. Like personally from my past experience, what helped me if I was overwhelmed or like my breath quickened, I'll use the app called Headspace, which I spoke about above. And this allowed me to like take part in breathing exercises which slow down my heart rate. This is the method of like shifting your focus as it allows you to reduce tension. Just like physical activity, so I mentioned all that above. I answered a question, no, I wrote a question like, is my target audience suitable? So by this feedback, I actually changed my target audience. So my target audience was, I think, aged a bit too, like it was like 13 to like 40, which I don't think was appropriate for my film. So by looking at this feedback, I changed it to 11 to 25, which I think is much more suitable as like most like young people before they're teenagers, mostly at secondary school, have probably experienced it like that. So I thought I'll make my target audience a bit like younger. I also answered, oh, well, I think answered. Another question that I wrote was, how would this impact the audience? So people actually wrote quite a lot. So I received a lot of feedback, which was super helpful and effective. The responses were like, can help the viewer understand triggers and how it has a vital impact on your mental health, which is really good. They liked how people can realize the different triggers people have, and it like a strong emotion that it would have on the audience. It would make people more aware and understand better, and if someone else was going through it, they could like try and help them. It allows people to like gain a better understanding of what mental health actually is, because I feel like it's mainly behind the scenes that people don't actually know what it is. Another question was, could you empathize or relate to a character? The majority of people said they could relate, which is super like helpful, or like just makes people aware that you're not alone in a way, as people are literally relating to you, but they may not express it. Another question was like, what are the advantages and disadvantages of my idea? So some of the advantages were that it helps shed light onto mental health issues. It's very informative. It's very relatable to most ages. Can help people who are struggling. It's comforting.